Hello, Galaxy. I'm Chris Pirillo, and you're watching the Locker Room Daily Reporter, TLDR for short. I'm streaming every night on Twitch at 6 p.m. Pacific. Feel free to join me and the rest of the community over there tonight if you would like to be geeking out about one thing or another. Tonight, or right now at least, the time I'm talking to you, I'm going to be contrasting images and comparing them, comparing and contrasting, especially when there is contrast between the two images. One taken with the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, and the other taken with the Google Pixel 6 Pro. So the Pixel and the Samsung, or the S21 and the Google, however it comes out in these long videos. Because when it comes to comparing photos, I have a certain eye, you have a certain eye. Every opinion, of course, is subjective. There are some cases where I think one image is demonstrably better than the other, and I will, of course, point that out in the course of these very long comparison videos that I do, especially when it comes to photos. And the reason why I spend time on this with you is because it matters to me. Like, I don't want to just gloss over things. I want to, like, dig in deep, especially because my smartphone is typically my go-to camera, and so I don't usually have, 2 or 3 devices lying around. That said, I'm going to turn my attention to another device. I'm going to bring the microphone with me. Not the pardon. I've got to switch views. Are you going to join me? Are you coming? Okay. Here we go. My head is in a circle. This was a shot taken this morning, sunrise here in Seattle. And I was like, all right, well, let me take this shot. This is with the Pixel, and let's go ahead and compare that against the shot taken with the Samsung. Both of these are at the optical zoom native to the camera, so 3x on the Samsung, 4x on the Pixel. And the differences are definitely, I'm not going to say night and day, but sunrise and sunset, possibly. At an initial glance, I like the deeper, darker greens on the Samsung photo versus the Pixel, which tends to be a bit more drowned out. It kind of meets in the middle, but I like the HDR more on the Pixel compared to the HDR on the Samsung. So I feel that the Samsung held on to the color better. The color got drowned out a bit in the Pixel, but that said, let's go ahead and peep the tippy top of this tree, and you can see this is where Samsung needs dramatic improvements when it comes to computational photography. There's zero doubt in my mind. Like, over and over, I have found the Samsung camera to be lackluster in these types of shots, specifically with the zoom lens. Look, just okay, I don't even have to explain it. This is 3x, 4x, and even at the native zoom, everything's muddy. It's just incredibly over sharpened on the Samsung output versus the Pixel output. Like, you may not be able to tell all those are trees in the background. There is some banding possibly that I saw happening, but very, very minor, if anything. The Pixel definitely took a better shot between these two sunrises, in my humble opinion, if only because the Samsung was just lower quality, but I found that over and over again with the Samsung. That said, Pixel didn't always knock it out of the park. Here's another shot where this is the Stormtrooper or Skull Trooper that Loyal Moses printed for me and sent to me. This is the Samsung and the Pixel. So low light, indoors, and between the two, the Pixel definitely skewed more neutral, which I appreciated, versus like this red color, sheen to this otherwise neutral color. This is silver. So the silver, if anything, comes across with a green cast on the Pixel versus a reddish cast on the Samsung. And I suppose between the two, you could say, oh, well, I prefer this color over the other, but I feel that the Pixel is sharper, dramatically sharper, and I prefer sharper images when it comes to taking photos, because you've got the detail that's retained, and the Pixel has always done a pretty good job with that. You saw this in the Pixel 6 Pro versus the iPhone 13 Pro Max camera comparison video that I just did just after Halloween here. Following, really, because it is fall still. Life Day's coming up. We have the Pixel shot and the Samsung. Pixel, Samsung. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on Diana's helmet here. Oops. Don't pretend I didn't do that. That's the next picture. Don't get too excited. The Pixel definitely had a higher contrast between the whites and the blacks, but again, the blacks are a bit washed out, not as inky black. I feel the Samsung better captured color. But I like, again, there's just a certain look to the Pixel camera that is very appreciated, and beyond just that look, I feel that the skin tones were more accurately captured on the Pixel camera. Samsung tended to skew a bit warmer. So, you know, their skin tones, both Diana's and Jedi's, aren't as orange as this picture would lead you to believe. That said, I feel that between these two shots, I think I like the Samsung a bit more, because the blacks were more black, or different kind of black, versus a cooler black. Maybe it was a warmer black. I don't know. Look, you can see if you see Diana's shirt there, you can see the cool black versus a black. I'll have to explain it. So yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it is subjective, but between these two shots, I think I liked the Samsung one better. That said, let's go ahead and look at how it processed the HDR on BB-8. The Pixel, I feel, did a better job with HDR in this instance. And it could have been that the bucket was moving around, but Samsung also has a different kind of depth of field compared to the Pixel. Pixel tends to flatten things, which again, sometimes I like. So, you know, you could ask me tomorrow, I say, I think this one is better. It just depends on what you're looking for in any given shot. There's Jedi alone. Not much of a difference between these two shots and the previous ones, but I felt that it was better captured on the Pixel. No face blur. I don't think it used the face blur feature versus possible face blur or just loss of detail. Again, it's not the lenses on the Samsung camera that are its problem. The problem is that Google doesn't seem to be doing anything with computational photography or anything with software. And if there needs to be a dramatic improvement with the Samsung devices in the future, it's all about the software. They've got the hardware, no doubt, but it's about the software. And this photo just kind of goes further to prove that. Indoor shot of Grogu on a pumpkin. We've got the Samsung and the Pixel. Samsung. Pixel tends to run cooler. Samsung, I feel, did a better job with the indoor light. Well, it wasn't really overhead light. It was outdoor light coming in indoors. Warmer, but more appropriately. Everything's cooler in the Pixel. Again, it's a flatter type of image, and I don't think it served this particular shot as well as the Samsung did. So, Google, Samsung. Okay, so this is another one of those harsh tests. I tend to favor HDR more than anything, and the Pixel, this is a Pixel shot, I feel over and over has had problems, the Pixel 6 Pro, with low light shots. Over and over. Forget color, forget saturation, forget focus for a second. It doesn't handle them as well as I expected them to, and in many cases I feel that the Pixel 4 XL could have done a better job than the Pixel 6 Pro. So that's the Pixel shot, and there's the Samsung. And the reason why I prefer the Samsung shot is because a lot of the detail, specifically in the blinds, were retained in the Samsung versus the Pixel. Samsung. I'm going to jump in here to the Death Star and show you that's kind of where I really get frustrated, because I prefer the sharpness of the Pixel over the Samsung, which is muddy. A massive loss of detail. Again, it's Samsung software that's the problem. So between the shots overall, I would go probably with the sharper image, despite the big problem that the Pixel 6 Pro seems to have with HDR. It just doesn't seem to trigger the way that it used to, which is just sad. So hopefully they patch that in a future release of software. The differences, of course, between the further differences might be, white balance, but I didn't see that much of a difference. The cool factor from the Pixel didn't, make that much of a dramatic difference. It was the sharpness here. So here's another instance where the HDR didn't fire on the Pixel, and it should have. There's Jedi on the Samsung and the Pixel. So whereas I feel, Samsung, I wouldn't say this is a tricky shot. I mean, it was a bright background. But I feel Samsung did a better job with this one, despite if you do pixel peeping, it's grainy. But despite being grainy, it still has all the detail. And this, the pixel shot lost, in my humble opinion, lost a lot of detail, almost too strong of a contrast. Too dark. Their hair was too dark in that shot, in my humble opinion, versus this shot. Not an easy shot to necessarily take, but you're not always trying to frame your shots perfectly when you're taking photos. So I much prefer the retention of the background detail versus blown out in the pixel shot, personally. So I think Samsung took a better photo there. Here we've got the R2D2 shelf. You probably are already guessing, like, oh, the cooler whites are definitely pixel, for sure. Cool white, pixel. A warmer white to neutral Samsung shot. Another example of the differences between the Samsung devices and the Pixel. Samsung has a different depth of field, so like you've got like one focal point, it doesn't flatten things out in terms of feeling like it's on the same plane. So there's the Pixel versus the Samsung device. I feel the Pixel retained a lot more detail that I would have appreciated in a shot like this, and the reason why is because there are a lot of things to potentially focus on. And so, despite the cool whiteness, as opposed to the more neutral white, if not warmer, on the Samsung camera, I think I would prefer the Pixel image's sharpness. Here's another shot where I was a little frustrated that, where I would expect the Pixel to pull out HDR details as it has in the past. Low light, maxed out the settings, at least on the Samsung camera. You can't necessarily control night sight settings on the Pixel. But the Samsung camera, I felt, did a better job with HDR on the Star Wars biomes playing there than the Pixel. So low light, HDR, those two particular, I guess, elements in a photo I feel are lacking to a large degree in the Pixel camera today. It's a little frustrating because I would want to have everything. And I mean, in terms of the darks, I'd give them about equal footing. You can see the Captain Cardinal helmet there in the background. Just pop in over there. A bit warmer over there on the Pixel, so I would say truer color, versus you're getting a little bit of light bleed in from the HDR shot from the television on the Samsung camera. So just FYI, you're gonna have a preference. I would have preferred the details, the HDR details. Here we go, close up of Vader. Both the cameras I feel did a really good job with this. We've got the Pixel shot and the Samsung Pixel 6, S21 Ultra. It's difficult to say which one is better in this scenario, but I would lean more towards a more contrasty image that the Samsung produced, all things considered. The colors and the saturation, everything seems better balanced on the rather than going to the middle and making everything not look like it's got a gray film on it. That tends to be what the Pixel does in some shots, but this shot did not serve that particular output well. The Samsung, I feel, did a better job. Selfie cam, because of course, we use it. We got the Pixel and the S21 Ultra, and the Pixel stomped. Like, not just retaining my skin tone, wider angle, slightly, but look, the Samsung shot makes me look like I'm sick. Green, like, I'm about to throw up or something. I felt the color of the sky was better on the Pixel shot than the color of the sky on the Samsung. Or maybe it's just that my skin tone was just, I feel, like, really thrown off on the Samsung shot versus the Pixel. So when Google says, oh, we do a better job with skin tones, specifically on the selfie cam, I feel that is overarchingly accurate. And plus, I think I as much as I appreciate the depth of field a bit more on the Samsung camera, it just feels like this photo on the Pixel, taken with the Pixel, is more alive, if you will, more usable. Pumpkin shots before they went away for the year. Pixel. Samsung. Which is odd, because the Pixel actually looked warmer to me, briefly, than the Samsung. Especially with the color of the wall. And the Samsung camera actually came out a bit more muted, believe it or not. And I'm looking directly at the file image names on the desktop here. So, you know, between the two, let's see here. Let's pick a place to punch in. That's the Pixel. Here's the Samsung. Samsung, I felt, did a better job capturing sharpness and HDR. There's the Pixel. And there's the Samsung camera. But not by much. Not like dramatically so. And maybe it's just the sharpness of the Samsung camera. Despite these two pieces not being in focus, Samsung just processes things differently. I mean, hello, it's a different camera, right? Tough to pick one that I would choose between these two. You know, when you start looking deeper, you know, you're going to have a preference. But as far as I'm concerned, they're both pretty good shots. Furbaka. Pixel. S21. So I feel that the S21 better captured the color. But that said, let's go ahead and zoom in on the beak. It's warmer on the S21 Ultra, but I feel a little sharper on the Pixel, but I prefer sharpness. That's my choice. And I realize, you know, at some point, well, you're pixel peeping. Well, but that sharpness matters, especially when it comes to detail. And instead of just things getting muddied out, you know, not every photo is going to be shared in social media. This is another low light shot that disappointed me on the Pixel compared to the S21 Ultra. I mean, you've got this weird kind of like the light bleeding over Vader here on the side versus less bleed and a better HDR production on the Samsung camera. The Pixel image tended to be a bit sharper. I think a sharpness that I prefer. I mean, you can just tell in the details. It's like an over sharpened version in a night shot at the on the main lens on the Samsung camera. Always, like, it's just Samsung needs to tweak its software. You're just gonna hear me repeat that over and over and over and over again. The Pixel, I feel, did a better job with the sharpness of details here in this low light shot, but did not do very well on the side. So it's difficult to pick a winner, like a clear winner. Wide angle, Samsung, Pixel. Pixel was definitely more naturally sharpened than I feel an over sharpened, especially with the whites, the stormtroopers in this wide angle shot, super wide angle, whatever you want to call it, as wide as you can get. I just don't like how Samsung over processes like this, or it seems like it's over processing. That said, I feel that Samsung did a better job than the Pixel that I'm browsing over right now, or clicking over right now, with HDR. Samsung was actually sharper, seemingly, on the edges than the Pixel. So the Pixel wide angle needs some improvement. The HDR on the Pixel needs improvement. Yeah, there's something to like in each of the shots, I'm sure. We got a little post-it. Pixel, a little brighter. The Samsung shot a little greener. So I feel the Pixel did a fair job with the color representation of this post-it, and this yellow post-it note yellow sticky is very, very, very yellow. I feel the Pixel did a better job with that, as well as a sharper contrast, if you will, with the red pencil that was used between the two. In this shot, we've got a stormtrooper on the roof of a car. I had a heck of a time, as mentioned in the previous camera comparison video with the iPhone, getting the Pixel close-up camera to focus on this. And the problem with that is I wanted this shot, and I had to wait for the lens to flip and press the button quick before it flipped again. So that was mildly frustrating and would probably need to be tweaked in software if it is ever tweaked in software. If not, I would find it very difficult to use this kind of camera in the field. I'm talking specifically about the Pixel camera, not for the output, but for just getting to that output. Because honestly, between the two, I feel that the output is slightly better on the Pixel versus the Samsung camera, which tends to seemingly over sharpen. This is at the 4x lens and the 3x lens on each, respectively. That's why it was having a problem, because it wanted to focus on something else. I'm like, don't focus on that. I want you to focus on this. So the Pixel software also could stand a great amount of improvement. I wish it would do the thing that I'm trying to make it do rather than the thing it thinks it needs to do. Which, you know, in more shots, it probably knows better, but I hate when software thinks it knows better than me, and it doesn't. So the Pixel, I feel, got in its own way there, despite it producing a better output. A couple flower shots, standard. Pixel versus the S21 Ultra. Let's go ahead and pop in over here. Samsung Pixel. Like there are not too many differences. The Samsung shot, I feel, has a more vibrant color than the Pixel, which tends to be a bit more, you know, contrasty. Just gonna make up words. Let's go ahead and let's pop over to this flower, and the reason why is because I feel like the yellows are handled better on the. Oops, let's try to get it exactly the same. More contrast on the Pixel versus a bit more muted on the Samsung camera, and so I feel that the Samsung camera was truer to life and a better shot, despite not being as sharp as the Pixel, and I appreciate sharpness. It's almost like it almost goes too far. Pixel sometimes goes too far with processing, sometimes it doesn't go far enough. It's really weird. Samsung definitely does not go far enough. Some apples, some fruits. I feel, again, better color on the Samsung device, but definitely sharper on the, and flatter in the sense that you've got a variety of objects. The Samsung focused on the objects, the apples in the foreground versus the background, versus the Pixel, which, you know, everything looked clear like it was on the same plane, and it wasn't. It comes down to what you prefer more. And we've got some leaves at 3x or 4x on the Pixel and 3x on the Samsung. Sorry, I got to remember all these numbers. I'm going to punch in here. Same leaf, 4x, 3x, 4x, 3x. And you look at the tree line here at 3x. Had the same issue with the very first photo I showed versus at 4x on the Pixel, sharper. Samsung, Pixel. Samsung, Pixel. So which one is better? I don't know if I have a direct answer to that. I mean, ultimately it comes down to what your eye appreciates more. There are some areas that I feel Samsung excels in, but between the two, if I had to choose a camera to take with me at this time, I like the Pixel. The Pixel 6 Pro, despite its shortcomings, and despite its need to tweak, and despite it seemingly using old algorithms for other cameras, I feel took more images that I would probably want to keep. When it comes to computational photography, that's where Samsung really has to step up its game. That doesn't mean that I'm going to flip to the Pixel 6 Pro, because the camera is not the only thing that I might need in a device. But you may be looking for something different. So if that's your thing, that's your thing.